Hey everyone, this is Carrie, and I am here on behalf of Silent Podcast, where we are anything but silent. And it is my pleasure to yet again introduce you to my very lovely co host, Leandro. Leandro, how are you doing on this? Is it Tuesday? Tuesday evening.
It's a Tuesday, and I'm feeling like I'm on turtle time today. I'm having a
Oh,
great, I'm having a great time enjoying my day off and ready to spill some tea on those messy, messy girls.
dude, turtle time sounds phenomenal right now. I'm still one more week of school, and then I have a couple months off, and I cannot wait. um, so this week I felt like we got still some like real shit. However, I felt like there was some areas where it was a little bit lighter.
Yeah, absolutely.
So thankfully, but I have Beverly Hills first on my list. So can we go over them first?
Absolutely,
All right,
yes.
I'm gonna be like breaking the fourth wall, but do you hear like an echo of me?
I do not. It sounds
Okay,
pretty. Yeah, it sounds good.
I hear an echo of me, but I can easily ignore that. So, um,
The voices.
yeah,
Suspicious.
it's just another Tuesday over here. So, okay, so let's jump into Beverly Hills, where I'm gonna kind of jump to the end before the beginning. I hated how much that they teased the Erica divorce thing throughout the whole episode, and it was the last like 14 seconds. Like, bravo, that's fucked up.
I'm kind of getting used to it because uh, every single franchise now, I feel like they're doing that. They show the preview and the big like event of it are like the last thing of the episode. So I'm kind of getting used to it, but it's still annoying. Very, very annoying.
Yeah, I was not happy with that. I was hoping to get a little bit more, especially because The Housewife and the Hustler came out this week.
Yeah, did you
Um,
watch it?
I've started watching it. It's one of these right now because I had to watch this for today.
Yes.
And then just with like the rest of my schedule since it's come out, I haven't had too much time. So I'll like throw it on my phone if I'm like waiting to kill time or whatever, but have not gone through the whole first episode. Have you watched it?
No, I haven't. No, because we
Oh.
don't have Hulu here, right? So it's hard for me to have
Oh.
access to it. So, but I'm gonna look for it. I have my ways to find it.
Okay. If not, I'll just FaceTime you and I'll hold up the phone to the screen and you can just watch it that way.
Sounds like a good time.
Yes.
Not for Erica though. Not
No.
for Erica.
No. It's definitely I'm learning a lot about it and I'm understanding like why there's so much anger around this whole issue, but we can get into that after you've seen it because I think it'll be a better conversation then and maybe we can invite Katie back too because I know that um
Yes.
she's watching it. I can tell by her tweets that uh she'll definitely have some opinions because she also has a bit more knowledge on like some of the people that they're using to provide commentary than I do. I didn't realize who someone was until I read Katie's tweets, so she would be great to have on. But anyway, all right, so we are in well, we're not actually in Beverly Hills, we're still in Lake Tahoe, but the next morning after the whole prank Sutton and Crystal going at each other again incident, we have I love how they just keep pointing out Garcelle and Lisa are by themselves together. So we had another instance of that. And Erica says to Sutton, like, how are you feeling? I feel like you're getting a lot of unwarranted heat. And Garcelle or not to sorry, let me backtrack. I can't read my own notes. Erica says to Crystal, how do you feel? Because like I was like, wait a second, that doesn't make sense in the context of what happened. You're getting a lot of unwarranted heat, and Garcelle tries to defend Sutton a bit. It's like she has a lot going on right now. I feel like we get the a lot going on right now excuse for Sutton happening quite a bit. Do you support the she has a lot going on right now? Do you think moving out of
Mm,
your home warrants how she's acted over the last episode or two?
I don't think so because I feel like that's one of the reasons we fell in love with Sutton originally. Like she was just this character that was over the top, but she was a friend of the show. So I do feel like she has a lot going on for a while now, if that's the case. Sudden
Mm-hmm.
she cannot use that. Like I understand like you've been off once in a while. I have a lot going on right now, but that seems like very, very uh, typical of Sutton to have that kind of behavior. So I do feel like because now she is a full time cast member, right? There's a
Mhm.
magnifying glass over Sutton, and we are getting more annoyed with that because we are seeing more and more of that. But Sutton always seemed to be this quirky, overreactive person. So
Mhm.
I don't think she has a lot going on. I think that's just Sodom and yeah.
Now, my second question for you is, what instrument do you use to help you prevent yourself from crying? Do you have a face roller like Sutton has?
I just full on cry. I don't hold back, you know. Let me cry. Let me just clean my soul, you know. I
I
don't do that.
have two little like spots on the inside of my bottom lip that I swear just like have no nerves because of me literally biting my lip when I want to say things. And they're the same places I bite when I feel like, oh, I'm going to get some emotions here. Like, let's bite down on those. If you see me make like this face, it's because I'm biting the areas. So I'm either going to say something that's going to be incredibly bitchy or I'm trying not to cry. So I
Oh,
don't have a face roller. I don't have any other instruments, but I do have a part on my body that I literally bite to stop myself from doing basically anything emotional.
wow. I learned something today because I don't have control of that. I just cry. I really do. And I don't think that thing will work on Sodom, to be honest. I feel like she was just.
Yeah, I don't know what the fuck was that. So, um,
But like, are you trying
and
to sell a product here, Sada? Is this a part of like the same thing as a flask? Like, what is that? Like, it doesn't make any sense. But sure, I'm here for it.
where did she also see that to purchase it? Like, why did she decide that?
I have one of those. I'm not gonna lie, but
Where did you see it to purchase it?
because it came with like this cleansing kit, you know, like to like a face mask and stuff. And I do have one that is like a little stone on it, and you do that. But like, I never felt anything with it. I just roll it to my face and like, am I doing it right? I don't use it. I will find it and I will come up on the next podcast with it. I
Okay,
promise.
thank you. That is your homework from now until our next podcast. So we see Sutton like using this thing because Lisa Rinna is asking her how she's doing. I would, if out of all of them, I think Lisa Rinna is like the last one I would want asking me questions, by the way. Like, I might even take Kathy over her in terms of like, how are you doing? Because Lisa just, I don't like the way that she like delivers some things. I'm hoping that this is Lisa Rinna's last season. I don't know
No.
how much more like she doesn't I find that she's a bit repetitive at this point.
She is, but like I am a Lisa Rinna defender. I cannot believe I just said that. I just think like in a cast like that, we need someone like her to like, you know, poke. She has no boundaries. She will literally throw anyone under the bus. She will literally like go say, you know, like my best friend of 20 years, like Denise Richards, you know, fuck you. And she has like no like regrets of it. Like she's just like so fake. She just like, yeah, I fucked that up. What, you know, like she doesn't even try to
I
make it
own it.
right.
I own it. Like
Yeah,
it she would very much fit in with the New York cast in a way where like Ramona just says whatever the fuck she wants and then it's like, "Oh, but I'm sorry and you're beautiful." Like I feel like Lisa Rinna has similar vibes in that. But
yeah.
in this conversation, Lisa says, cry if you have to cry. And I love how Kyle is like, she has been. And Sun goes, you called me too sensitive. In addition, here is a list of names that I've been called by this group of women.
Pulls
What was
up the
your
phone.
reaction?
I was just like, Southern girl, like when I think you cannot get more childish, here you come with like that's a list, you know. Someone called me stupid, someone called me dumb, you know, like that was so childish. Like,
To me, that's someone who is waiting to pounce. You know what I mean? Like she's stacking her evidence and then is waiting for the opportune moment of, or like just waiting for when she feels like she is in the absolute trenches against these women and is like, oh, yeah, well, let me pull out my notes app and these are all the things you've done wrong over these last two seasons or whatever. And it's like,
hmm.
I think that I genuinely believe we're going to see something to that extent. Like, no one keeps a list of how people have wronged them unless they're planning on using that list.
And I do feel like these sirens in the background are very, like, no, seriously, I can use that right now for what I'm about to say. Because you're talking about Sudden keeping track of things on her phone. We need to like go back to the season trailer, and Sutton is gonna be the one poking on Erica Jane, asking her about questions. So
Mm-hmm.
maybe Sutton's gonna keep a note on that as well, and she's gonna unfold all that mystery, and that's how she's gonna put Erica on jail. I just created a storyline for the second part of the season, and I'm gonna manifest that that's gonna happen.
In the later this season
Yeah,
preview, it's what you just said. I did think it was funny how Lisa was like, if I kept a list, and she started rattling things off, and I don't even think she was like 5% of the way through an actual list of different names that people have called her, but I did chuckle at that part. So the next morning we get Garcelle and Crystal at the coffee shop, which was the one-on-one conversation that I was asking for last week. I'm hoping we get more of a connection between these two. Um, but we get Garcelle asking, how are you feeling? Crystal saying, I feel like Sutton went off. And Garcelle said, I heard you, Kyle, and Sutton had a conversation. They rehash the do you not see color conversation. Now, here is, as a recapping podcaster, where I go nuts because they cut between two different related conversations, and I don't know how to narrate this. So here's what I'm going to try right now. We're going to continue with the Garcelle and Crystal conversation, but know that cut in between chunks of this conversation, we have Kyle and Sutton talking. So we'll come back to that. Does that sound okay?
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I'm typing this. I'm like, why the fuck they gotta do this to me? So we get, actually, you know what? I can't even do that. I'm going to take back everything, but there will be times where I do it that way. So they cut to Kyle and Sutton, and Kyle goes, I think you owe an apology to Crystal. And Sutton gets mad. She's like, what? For what? I'm not sorry. So before I comment, we cut back and it's Crystal saying, I don't need an apology. And Garcelle saying, well, at some point, this is going to come to a head. And I laughed out loud when Crystal was like, is this not a head? Like, this gets worse. And so the reason that I needed to pause for a second is because I literally just finished New York, and the parallels between Sutton and Luann are too strong right now of like not realizing
the gravity of what they said. Yeah.
And what sucks is both of them have people telling them like, you are wrong, this is what you need to do, and they're both being so stubborn about this. And so the frustration in the lack of awareness, the lack of empathy, really, I think it's even sympathy, because empathy means you're putting yourself in someone else's shoes and experiencing what they're experiencing, when really they just need to have sympathy because they're privileged white women who haven't experienced what these women are experiencing. But what did you think of that whole situation? Like, any emotions get pulled for you when Sutton especially was like, for what? I'm not sorry.
It's crazy because like I said many times, I just cannot believe that Sano is real, because she's so in her own head that she refused to see like a word that she's not the victim. She thinks everybody is coming for her, everybody's like hiding the joke from her, everybody's talking about her. She always feels like she is like, the butt of a joke, like in every single scenario. So she really thinks that your face is everything, Carrie. It's
my
okay.
dog, the way you just got so aggressive so fast.
Yeah, no, but like she refuses to see through that, because that would break everything that she knows about her life. If she apologized to Crystal, wait a minute, so have I been wrong? Like, what else have I been wrong? I'm not the victim. Everybody's not picking on me. So I feel like that's why she was like, I cannot believe that Crystal has the audacity, like to talk to me
Right.
like that. But when were a series of facts and actions that you did something that made Crystal like get to her limit and talk to you in a manner that you didn't like. So it's insane to me that like Sutton can't see that. It's really insane. I expect that from Luann because Luann is just like this, like full of herself persona. But
Mm-hmm.
that's not how I was perceiving Sutton based on season 10. So it's a
Mm-hmm.
little, it's disappointing at the same time that is entertaining.
Right. So the next thing we see is them going on the boat. I love the flashback to all their bad experiences on boats
Yeah.
previous to this one. And like how was the women that brought it up. If anyone wants to say hello to Nitro, now is a great time because he's being super vocal. He had his first day of dog daycare today. He did great, outstanding. Right now, they said he didn't bark at all. You might not believe that, but anyway. So here again, we get another little snippet of one of the women asking Erica about Tom. So, Garcelle, did you speak to Tom? Yeah, we spoke this morning. He's dedicated to the office. And Garcelle saying it must keep things going. Erica says he's been dedicated to being a lawyer his whole life. He loves it. I watched this and then I started watching Hustler and Housewife. Like, dude, you know the emoji with like the mind blown? That's me. Like reading this again. It's like, oh my god, I cannot wait for you to watch it. I cannot wait.
Yeah, we know that Erica, she's like the cold queen, right? She's the ice queen, she's
Mm-hmm.
the diamond queen, whatever. But I never thought that she would get to be this cold. You know what I'm saying? Like that could put a face up. Like when we know the timeline of the events,
Mm-hmm.
trip 18th of October, divorce on November 3rd. Like something must have been. You don't just like file for divorce like this from a day to another. Like it's a series of it's a longest process to get to the point that you file for divorce. And Erica, just talking about that, like it's kind of like cynical in my opinion. Like how can you just you're not welcome, like you not welcome, but like you don't have to lie that much. You don't have to share everything about your life. But when you really pretend like in that deep, it makes me scary because I wonder if I know people like that in real life.
Mm-hmm.
So that was I was just watching and I just couldn't believe. I was just like, wow, Erica, you really, really, really trying to make that you didn't know about anything that was happening. So
So I don't know if she was. I won't jump as far to say that she's trying to make it seem like she doesn't know what's happening because I think that's a whole extra layer that like they can't they the foresight for that right now I think would be irresponsible to put in, but they are providing the insight of like we're getting a lot of Tom references that we didn't get over the seasons before this, and just showing like the extreme she goes to I think is really to protect herself. Because like you said, like she is telling these lies with maybe she did talk to Tom this morning. Like not what she said there is a lie, but to like not break down or not
yes,
show any sort of emotion about it is crazy. So I don't know if it's like to protect herself because of being involved or knowing what was happening. However, I do think like she's protecting herself. Um,
yes,
I will not commit an opinion to if she knew what was going on until I know more information about this because I didn't really understand what was happening until I watched the first like 20 minutes of The Housewife and the Hustler. Like I kind of got it, but having watched more of it now, I'm like, "Oh, I
yeah.
understand like the how extreme this is."
It is, and like I'm gonna find here, but I saw there's like one of these Bravos fan account that I follow, and
I see you
apparently,
retweet it all the time.
yeah, and something like really major happened today. Let me show you here. Okay, breaking news. Erica Girard's attorneys moved to withdraw from representation in the Girard Keys bankruptcy, including against the Special Litigation Counsel motion below. And they say the documentary that was released,
Mhm.
was like one of the reasons that they took themselves out of the case. So it's something really, really, really effed up happening. And I don't know, maybe Erica's gonna be the second housewife to go to jail because we
Yikes.
have Teresa Judice from New Jersey serving time, but I think she's very much in the shit. Like, it's bad.
Well, I can't wait to go down this Reddit rabbit hole for sure. So anyway, we I thought a fun scene was the bird landing on the boat, which was the next thing that happened. They're all freaking out, and like the way the bird just so like gracefully landed on the front, and Kathy being like, "What the hell is all these women's problems?" But just wanted to mention, shout out to that seagull. You scared them, you pranked them, and then you just landed with grace. It was a better prank than the one that happened the night before.
Retweet.
No, you didn't let anyone else in on it. No one had to feel left out.
Take notes, Caddy Hilton.
Yeah. So next we get Sutton asking Crystal to chat. So they go to like a different level of the boat, and Sutton said, I had a rough night last night. Being called ridiculous didn't help. I don't like name calling. And the only thing you need to know about Crystal for these next like 30 to 45 seconds is the only thing she says is, okay.
Yes.
Okay. Which, to be fair, when I am mad but don't want to pop off, that the way she, like the tone, the everything. Yeah. Okay. So I know this okay very well, Crystal. I understand what you're saying right now. And I guess she gave a little bit of a chuckle because Sun said, you're laughing at me. This isn't the time for sarcasm. What's your side of the story? And Crystal's like, my side, I wasn't even involved. I tried to get you involved. Then you told everyone I kicked you. She's like, you did with your foot. I cannot with that part, by the way. Like,
she made it sound like it was like some type of like Chun-Li Street Fighter kick, Right. It was not that. It was a little tap, just like, hey, like I'm
Crystal
here.
Was giving her like an arm bar, like UFC move in the backseat of the van, trying to be like, shut the fuck up, don't ruin the, like when she just gives her like a little nudge with her foot so other people couldn't see it. Like the dramatics is too much here for me, Sutton.
It is.
I can't.
It is. That scene, like, it made me really uncomfortable in a sense that, like, I could tell that, like, Crystal, she was rethinking her entire decision to be on that show. Mm-hmm. I could tell that. I feel like Crystal, based on the conversation with Garcelle, that she was like, oh, that's not like I had, like, that's not like something like crazy happening. But also, like, things, like, she was just scared to say anything because she didn't want the repercussions of it. At the moment, she couldn't she couldn't handle that emotionally on that moment. So that scene for me, it was a very strong scene because you got Crystal just like, please, like please don't do anything else. Like, I'm gonna regret joining this cast. Like, it was very intense.
Mm-hmm. And here in this next part is where I feel where she lashes out a bit due to the emotions that you were just talking about. When she's like, I don't trust being around you. It feels manic. I can't deal with crazy people. Because now you are blatantly taking jabs that also are at like mental health and all that you can't do that regardless of how her, like, you say it behind someone's back. You don't say it to their face. Like, be better about this. Like, yeah, we appreciate the drama, but now it's a whole nother thing. So anyway, like, Son's like, don't call me crazy. You don't know me. And Crystal's like, well, all you've shown me is that you're crazy. There's a bunch of women here who I don't know either, and they've been open and sweet to me, but you haven't. And then I put G for Garcelle, but Son's like, maybe I'm more complicated than them. Like, this whole like, well, I'm shy. It takes me a while. Come on. You're on a TV show. Like, your job is to interact with the other women. They're literally paying you to do this. Stop it. Yes. Stop it right now. And then she starts crying because she's been a nervous wreck. she realizes that she's left her forever house, which I guess is not actually her forever house, and it hit her when she got to Tahoe. So here I feel like Crystal had the like the ball, not the ball in her court, but she had the advantage in this argument. She was definitely on the right side of it until she called her manic and crazy. And I'm
Yeah.
actually surprised that it didn't come up more, like that Sutton didn't go and kind of like about face to someone else and be like, oh, well, you think I'm bad. This is what she said to me. I'm actually genuinely surprised that that part didn't blow up, but I do think Crystal has to take some ownership for like diagnosing her.
Yeah, I feel like let's talk a little strategy here on Real Housewives. But I feel like what's happening with Sutton and Chriser comes from the same root of like a anti-game kind of thing. They're both afraid to play the game. You know, they're
Mm-hmm.
both afraid to like be part of that cast. Probably because for different reasons. Sutton because she's afraid that's gonna happen with her. What happened to Denise? What happened to LVP? You know what happened to other women in different seasons? She's afraid of being that character in the season that she was tricked to that. While Crystal, she's more afraid of like because she said in interviews that she knows the show. She knows, you know,
Mm-hmm.
everything. And I think she thought she could go there and like be a nice character that the audience would like, but she wouldn't like get herself like in the dramas. She wouldn't get herself. So I feel like she's trying hard to avoid this kind of conflict. Maybe because she's afraid because of like race, you know, when like she be an Asian woman, she has to represent way more for
Mm-hmm.
other people. But they are both scared shitless to play the game that is the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills.
Mm-hmm.
So they are both getting conflicted very hard on that on that scenario. And one of them is gonna have to give up at some point. Either Krista's gonna have like to really storm out so Sutton can realize, or Sutton's gonna have to like back the fuck down and just be like, hey, really, really, really fucked that up. You know, let's move on to a different subject. But it's getting I'm getting scary game from both of them right now.
Option 3, which you kind of alluded to, is that a bigger, better problem comes along, which I'm going to show this comment to Dana. Thank you for listening and asking. We had mentioned a little bit earlier that, so I'm like halfway-ish through the first episode. Leo's out in, the boondocks of Canada, so they don't have Hulu, but we're going to get him that episode. So we are going to watch it, and we are hopefully going to drag Katie back on. We'll throw her a fishing line like we're Sonia out in the ocean and maybe reel her back in to talk about it, because it relates to this and it's definitely interesting. So
Yeah, I think we could do like a little episode apart just for the documentary. I
I
think,
100% want to do it that way, because there's going to be way
yeah,
too much to talk about.
yeah, I think we can do that, especially like because this week's episode is gonna be more focused on that. I don't know if you saw the preview; they finally released the preview for the episode, and it looks like it's gonna be like very on that topic, like of
Mm-hmm.
Erica's marriage. So I think it could be like a nice knot for a future podcast. Thanks, Dana, for watching. Thank you. That was very cool.
So our next thing that happens is Dorit and Kyle playing bocce, which, again, I've mentioned this already, but where the fuck is Dorit this season? Like, there's too many people on this season that we're not seeing her, given, like, I don't really need much from her. But I feel like we're not getting a lot of her. However, what the fuck is that outfit that she's wearing? She looks like she's from Crisscross in like the 90s rap video. Like, what was going on? That tie-dye
That's Dorit. That's what Dorit does.
that was crazy. That was absolutely crazy. I liked all 3 of the major pieces, the hat, the jacket, the pants, separately, but together it was like tie-dye threw up on her. Like tie-dye got food poisoning and it left its mess on Dorit.
It's fashion, you know?
Oh, stop.
It's
Stop it.
fashion. No, but like I don't want to say. I'm gonna say it. I could get some backlash of it, but there's so many people out there because they're just like skinny and everything fits on them. They think they're fashion icons. You know, they can put
Mm.
literally anything, and that's not how it rolls. You know, like that's Dorit. Dorit, she used like like very expensive brands, and she called it like a fashion taste. Sometimes it's nice because she has like glam, you know, like to really produce her, but sometimes, you know, she goes off. And that was one of those moments, 100%. So don't call me ignorant for like, you know, not appreciating that look. But girl, you are a mess right now. You're just
Oh,
skinny
you can call me
40%.
ignorant for not appreciating that look. I wear a t-shirt and jeans every day, and if I'm wearing jeans, I'm dressed up. That's so like I shouldn't be commenting on fashion, but I did.
As
Speaking
you
of
should.
fashion, I love that Sutton decides to wear her fuzzy $2,000 slippers to dinner. I I've never really understood why, like, when they're having a dinner party in their like the house that they're staying in, every single season, every single time they get dressed up for it, where it's like y'all are going from your bedroom to the kitchen table, like no one's seeing you except like each other. Obviously there's cameras and stuff. Like I can understand makeup and everything, but like the dress to the nines, what, that's exhausting for me. I can't imagine having to
Especially
do
on
this.
Beverly Hills. Especially on Beverly
Right.
Hills.
But I get like they haven't had reasons to dress up. Like for me, that's a godsend. For them, it's like the worst thing ever. But Sun wears this dress and those goddamn slippers. Uh, I'm sorry, I'm laughing reading this next part because I cracked up at it, and I think it's because I would be Garcelle in this situation. Um, when Garcelle is like, "Where is everybody? Dorit, 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 keep calling me Dorit, and I'm not coming." Like Garcelle, that's a joke for Garcelle. Like Garcelle's joke is for her. It's not for anybody else. Garcelle is making that joke because she thinks it's funny, and she's gonna keep doing it regardless. And I
I find it
fucking
funny,
love
Garcelle.
it.
Keep it
Yeah.
doing. I find it very funny.
So then we get a little bit of a conversation about nose jobs, asking who's had their nose done. Erica admits that she has. Obviously, Kyle has because we see it like in the flesh, and Kathy does as well. But everyone's just like staring at Dorit. I died when they showed the like before and after photo.
That
Do
was
you,
a shady producer. That was a shady moment. They exposed Dorit and her nose. That was
Dorit's been keeping her nose out of all the shit this season, but then Bravo literally put her nose on blast.
Carrie. That was such a shade moment, and I was like, honestly, like we didn't need that, but thank you for doing that. Like that was just mean. Just they're just shady.
Now I have to ask the big J journalism questions. Do you think she had a nose job based off those pictures?
Absolutely, absolutely, she did. Everything about Dorit is fake. Her accent, you know, everything. Even like seriously, like there's some pictures on like she's almost brown now. You know, she's going like too crazy on the tan and everything. Everything about Dorit is fake. Everything. So I'm not surprised that her nose is fake too. Sorry, Dorit. I'm sorry that was mean, but.
She's never coming on our podcast for fuck. um So next thing we get is Crystal texting Kyle saying she's not coming to dinner. She also texts Garcelle saying that she's losing her shit a little bit. And then we get Sutton being like, well, I do want to apologize. And it like kind of sucks that Crystal isn't here to hear it, but I was a little strange last night and not myself. Did you notice how she like paused at the word strange though? Because it was like she wanted to use the word crazy, but then realized she like had told Crystal that she can't call her crazy
Yeah.
earlier. That's at least how I felt about like the cadence of what she said and the pause and everything. So that's my opinion. But I'll
But
read the rest of her apology. Unless you want to comment in now, go ahead.
I want to do a comment on that sudden apology because, like, I don't think like it makes sense without Crystal there because Crystal is the one who is aware of stuff, and Crystal will be probably like the only one who will be like, you know, like that's what happened. The other girls know pretty much from Sutton's mouth, except for Crystal. At least that's how it shows. Because I don't think Crystal is the one that's going to tell everybody about what is happening. Probably she talked to Kyle a little bit, herself. But without Crystal there, that apology doesn't make any sense. Why is she apologizing to the other girls for the joke last night?
I know why. Because she admits it kind of later. She doesn't like feeling unliked. And so even if Crystal's not there, she's at least apologizing to, I can't count however many women are there at this point. It feels like 12, but let's say 6 for the sake of numbers. The 6 other women there, she at least seems apologetic to them. And so that's more people who might be a little bit more back on her side than they were 12, 24 hours ago. I think that's why she still went through with it, because she's one of those people that if people don't like her, it deeply affects her. That's my guess.
Yeah, that makes absolutely sense. Yeah, it's just that Crystal was not there, because I personally would like to see if she would have the same, like, I apology for something if Crystal called her out on something in front of the other girls, like if she really meant that apology, or if she just wanted like to be cool with everybody. So at that point, it felt a little bit like behind Crystal's back kind of thing, but
I'm not disagreeing with any of that. I just think that's the reason why she's.
Oh yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you 100%.
So, Lisa, what are you doing here, Lisa? What the fuck was this story? So Lisa chimes in. She's like, I've had a rough past year. People are saying I'm the worst friend. I understand it. I'm going to share a story that Harry shared with me. He had a friend that he went and had a drink with. His friend that night.
I don't want to hear that again.
No. I'm not going to do that part. I won't say it the way it is. His friend that night made a decision that he shouldn't. How is that okay? And his friend went to jail for it. All of his friends said they wanted to go to jail and support him, and Harry said that he couldn't. And Kyle was like, out of blind loyalty. And Garcelle's like, so the point of your story is you couldn't blindly support Denise? And Garcelle in a confessional is like, you can't compare Denise in this story. Thank you, Garcelle. I wish she had said it like out loud at the table, but Erica kind of like chimes in to defend Lisa and is like, she had information
obviously.
that we didn't know. So I'm going to leave the rest of the story behind, the whole Harry story, but want to kind of focus on this. Erica saying like, Lisa had information none of us had. How does Erica know that?
I don't know. Like, seriously, the entire situation, it was just like the same way that I defend Lisa's presence on the show. I despise her as a person so much. Like, I really do. And I feel like she really would do anything. Like, anything. And there's some theories about that. I don't know if you know about what people are talking about.
No, please enlighten us.
Okay, so apparently there was some like accusations regarding like Harry, doing the same thing that story the person did. So Lisa is very smart in a sense that she was telling that story on the show. So when people Google Harry and the R word, is gonna show up a bunch of videos of the Real Housewives scene, and that's allegations are gonna be like far down on the bottom, and that absolutely makes sense in my opinion, because we know that Lisa is that crazy.
I can't remember who I was Googling, but it was a Real Housewife thing, and I thought it was absurd that the whole first page of Google had nothing to do with like the legal drama I was looking up. It might have been the Girardis. I'm not sure. I can't remember. But I remember thinking like, oh, wow, they've specifically gone and created other news stories so that this isn't showing up unless you click 2, 3 or whatever down on those Google numbers. Like, so I 100% believe that, because I can't remember which one it was, which doesn't really like help validate it, but I swear I was doing this with another housewife. I think it might have been a Potomac one, actually.
Maybe
it was more, I think it was
Michael Darby. Michael Darby.
It was Michael Darby. It was 100% Michael Darby.
Yeah.
It's all about like the kids they've had and not like the sexual assault accusation. So the whole like you have to keep clicking to find it, and so
yes,
it makes complete sense that like this is a
Lisa,
housewife move type of
yeah,
thing.
she was just trying to protect her husband from.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even know about those accusations, but people on Reddit, they do their job, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they were talking about like how smart she was, and she just did that and was disgusting. Like there is no correlation to Denise's storyline on the show. She just tried to make a scene, out of subject that like it was kind of like like Denise is not even in the season anymore. I know you think with Garcelle, but you Garcelle talking in private already. You don't have this validation from these other women. We all know you talk or your text message or anything.
Mm-hmm.
That moment over there, it was just for the narrative on the show. It was fabricated. A
Mm-hmm.
100%. So I was very disgusted by that moment, and I'm glad that they showed Garcelle's confessional calling that out. Like,
Yeah.
I'm really appreciate that from Bravo.
The other part, like you kind of just mentioned, is that the only person who she still has this issue with concerning Denise is Garcelle. Why is it becoming like, hold on, everyone look and listen to me in this moment and hear this story? Like,
It's too much.
it's why are we still talking about Denise here? Like, I just don't need it anymore. Especially like in the way that she brought it up this time. Like, why are we doing this? Um, I did appreciate that Garcelle, and this kind of relates to it. Garcelle was like, you could have dealt with all of this yourself, and instead you became a ringleader and got all these women doing the same, like your dirty work as
Hmm.
well. But besides that comment, like this, if this is going to continue to be a storyline, I just want it to be a Garcelle and Lisa thing and not
Yeah,
bringing everyone. It's just too much. It's too
it
like we
is.
what else can you bring up about this situation except for the information that Lisa knows that we don't? If that doesn't come out, I don't need to hear any more of this.
The same. Like Denise is not even on the show. Like, and it's annoying because I feel like they have done like some flashbacks from Denise on the show already this season, and I'm like, Denise, like she clearly doesn't want to do anything with Bravo anymore. Like respect her decision. She left the show. Move on.
Mm-hmm.
There's plenty of new storylines starting on this season. That Denise shit can be on the added broom. Cut that shit out. We don't need to know.
Mm-hmm. So our next little Erica Garcelle bit that gives us a little bit of foresight on Erica is Erica going to Garcelle like, "Hey, you're looking thin," and Garcelle, I love when she's like, "I felt like a stuffed sausage last night. If I feel like that every day, we could be breakfast meats together, Garcelle. Hit me up." So, and Garcelle goes, "It's all smoke and mirrors, girl," and Erica goes, "My whole life is smoke and mirrors." Dude, Bravo is just laying the breadcrumbs down. They are Hansel and Greteling us
Yes.
to this next episode and the rest of the season, because like that first episode was built on like, does she know? Is she telling the truth? Is she lying? What's happening? Like, that they just are breadcrumbing the shit out of this for us.
You better be good.
That thing is like, how much are they going to be able to? They I am interested in knowing, are they going to try to defend their channel's star in a way that they're able to keep her, or are they going to throw her out, hang her out to dry? I'm very interested in like the path that Bravo chooses for this season based off of whatever information is available, and I fully admit I don't know a lot of the information available, so I don't have a guess on how they're going to, but I am interested in seeing like what edit and narrative do they push for Erica?
Yeah, but based on what they did with Teresa on New Jersey, I don't think they care that much. Like Teresa was obviously, guilty. Like the like she went to jail. She stayed a whole year over there, and they. What do you think is sells more, an innocent housewife that keeps on the show, or a housewife that goes on to jail? And you can do a special about that, and then you can hold off a season, and then you can come back, and that's the biggest comeback. And Erica
Mhm.
will tell it all, you know?
Yeah.
At this point, I think Bravo's like popping champagne. They're like, yes, you know, like another like nationwide scandal that's gonna bring views to our show, you know?
Yeah.
And we know how reality TV show works, you know?
Mhm.
They are all pounds here. So yeah, I don't think they're gonna protect Erica. I think they're really gonna make her, you know, because if going back to Potomac, I don't know how much have you seen it. Which season are you on right now?
In the beginning of season 4, I had to slow down with my
Okay.
this week. I was to catch you, if not lap you. All right. I was ready to be at the same place as you, and then I went and got a concussion, and I couldn't even turn the TV on for like 6 days without my head hurting. So I am behind where I want to be right now. But I did
Okay.
see that it is coming back July 11th, so I have less than a month to make sure that I'm caught up. But I will be there.
Yeah, I'm just at the beginning of season 5 now, and I'm watching
Mhm.
very slowly because I got back to work. But there is something that happened on season 4, like with Michael Darby,
I'm at
and
that point.
yeah, and you know they did throw him under the bus, and then when he was announced like not guilty, you know, like he was free of all the charges and whatever in the future, uh Bravo like was just like, oh, you know, we didn't know about that, you know, when we showed that scenes, we didn't want to imply anything. So I feel like they're just gonna like chill them up and then spit it out, you know, like they
Mhm.
did with the other housewives that were criminals.
Speaking of chewing them up and spitting them out, that's what Dana thinks as well. So I think they'll use and drop Erica. I'm definitely interested in seeing. I think they'll do whatever is best for their ratings, but um, I
Yeah,
definitely am
but
interested in seeing, especially like not having viewed anything where there is like the criminal aspect to it besides Luann,
yeah,
to which she should have been tossed fucking years ago. I have
yeah.
no sympathy for Luann defenders.
But I remember that they did a special for Teresa called Teresa Checks In. And it was like an episode, like a kind of like a spin off. I think it was like 3 episodes of just like talking about Teresa going to jail and how the kids react. You know, I don't know who is gonna be for Erica's documentary. Maybe the girls from like Kyle, you know, like Lisa, they will all talk about it. But I think Bravo's gonna squeeze every single thing they can,
Mm-hmm.
and then they can spit Erica out.
Yeah. So the next thing we have going on is everyone playing their different games, and then Lisa going into like 7-year-old temper tantrum mode of like, come in the pool with me, come swim with me, please, please. And Garcelle being like, this is what I was telling you about. Just say okay and shut up. And Lisa was like, oh, I understand. Like this make you're telling me in the moment, this is what I need. But Sutton went in and they did their little synchronized swimming performance, which was kind of fun. Like, um, anything you want to comment on that part?
No, I'm fine skipping that part. I'm just like,
Cool.
cool.
So, after this, Crystal comes out of her room because remember she's been like hiding for the entire evening, and Erica on her way to bed sees Crystal and she's like, "Oh, how have you been?" And Crystal's like, "I'm lonely, more lonely than I thought." And then Crystal talks to Kyle, and Crystal's like, "Well, how was tonight?" And Kyle's like, "It was actually really good." And she's like, "What's wrong with you though? Like something seems off." And Crystal explains how last night when Sun brought her jacket, she was naked. And when Sutton realized that Crystal was naked, she goes, "Oh, well, here's your jacket. Like whatever you're doing in here, like made it seem like she was weird for being naked." Giving Crystal like dropped to the floor into the fetal position to like cover herself. Which I don't know if that's what I would have done, but like I also haven't really been walked on naked by any of my friends. I'm very like I will bolt lock like every like you you will I'm not the woman that likes changing in front of anyone. So like I've never had this experience, but maybe that is a natural reaction to like don't look at
Yeah.
me. And but Crystal didn't appreciate Sun's comment of like enjoy whatever you're doing in there. And so Kyle was like, "Is that why you didn't come to dinner? Because this happened like 24 hours ago and you're like just bringing it up now." And Crystal was like, "Well, I had such a long weekend and I didn't want to like trigger Sutton again and I couldn't have another night like last night." And Kyle goes, well, I wonder, or she was on her best behavior, and Crystal's like, well, I wonder if it's because I wasn't there. Which you had said before, like, is this apology the same? Is her behavior the same if Crystal's at dinner and experiencing that night with them?
Yes, like that situation with the sweater and everything. I kind of am with Sutton here for one point. I just think Sutton is an awkward person. I don't think she just like meant to like do something to embarrass Crystal. I really don't think so. I think she was like, "Oh my God, I'm going to react. Okay, here's your jacket," you know. While Crystal wanted to Sutton to leave the room with the coat and everything already. So I'm really with Sutton on that one. Like, not everything that Sutton does, deserves, to be like on a full on blast,
Mm-hmm.
but I do think Crystal has the right to feel triggered by that moment. She didn't know if there was cameras around. Maybe she was insecure about her body. She didn't want people to see her naked, especially the cameras. Or
Mm-hmm.
maybe she have experienced like a scene, that she was vulnerable, like
Yeah.
naked, and someone walked on her, and that really triggered her. I give her that, like 100%. But I really don't think Sutton was being like she had bad intentions, If it was Lisa Rina doing that, I'd be like, maybe that was bad. But Sutton, I think she just wanted to bring the code and make things right. So,
I do think it's a little suspect that this only became an issue after the conversation where Crystal calls her manic and crazy. Like, is it, oh shit, I need something to go back on if Sutton goes and tells these women that I think, like, I called her. Calling someone manic, like, if you say, like, you
yeah,
were acting crazy last night, you can kind of get away with that, I think. When you say you were acting manic, like, you're crazy, those two words together, you can't backtrack from that. Like,
yeah.
you don't use manic unless you are, like,
A
trying
doctor.
to signal that I think you have legit mental issues.
Yeah.
So I'm just suspect of, like, is this now a I need to have something in case this comes up.
I
I
need to see more of Crystal to get to that conclusion. I just gonna vouch for Sutton here and think that she didn't want to embarrass Crystal. I don't think she was like, "Oh,
oh
Crystal is naked. Let me go in the room with the cameras and expose her naked body to the world." No,
no,
I don't
I
think.
don't think so either.
Yeah. So,
What and
but
like what are you supposed to say when you like see some when you walk in on someone naked? Like, I would say something fucking weird too, because like
yeah,
it's a weird situation.
I'm
Like,
like, "Oh my God, here, I don't know, like,
yeah, like I don't think what she said was that ridiculous. You're right, Nitro. We are getting worked up over this. So no, I agree with you 100%. I just the timing, given like people experience their trauma in different ways and times, and like I'm not going to try to judge it. I'm just throwing it out to the universe that the timing to me makes me do the little like tilt my head and like squint my eyes like the chin scratch emoji. So um so we get another Sutton and Crystal conversation because we haven't had enough of these last couple episodes. So Sutton visits Crystal the next morning, and she says, I want to end this on a good note. I know you didn't come to dinner, and I think I was a part of that. I should have been more welcoming to you. And Crystal says, okay, but what about when you brought back my coat and I was naked? And Sutton's like, yeah, I'm sorry about that. And Crystal said, someone drops to the ground and covers their body. You shouldn't stay in the room and go, oh, and what are you doing over there? My boundaries were crossed. It was creepy and weird. And Sutton, I think, rightfully gets defensive here. It's like, it wasn't creepy and weird. It was awkward. Like, it
yeah,
wasn't judgmental. And Sutton was like, I want to be friends with you. Let's hug it out. And they do. So they're leaving in a at least cordial place.
yeah.
And I believe Sutton 100% here, like you were just saying. Like, I wasn't being creepy or weird. Um, do you predict any more future Crystal and Sutton drama?
Yeah, we have seen that on the trailer. I don't know
Did
if you.
we? I haven't
Yeah.
watched a trailer, to be honest, because
Oh,
remember I watched like all of Beverly Hills and then I switched to New York, and then you were like, "Hey, Beverly Hills is back," and so I like jumped in not knowing. I saw the New York. I don't even know if I saw the New York trailer, like a sneak preview, but So
Yeah,
we do have more than
yeah.
okay.
There's a moment on the trailer that shows Crystal calling Sutton jealous, and Sutton just walk away and screams like, "Jealous of what? Of your ugly leather pants?" Like
Uh,
very childish kind of drama, but doesn't seem like they're gonna get along. It seems like it's gonna
Perfect.
be a thing this season.
I can't wait. I'm not the biggest fan of their drama, but maybe it changes.
I like in a sense that like it's giving the storyline to different girls.
Yeah.
Usually, like when the new girls start a season, they live in the shadow of the other ones. They're
Mhm.
like, "Oh, let's be welcoming to this clique. Oh, now we hate that person." You know, like
Mhm.
usually it's that dynamic, and
Yeah.
the new girls are owning this season. You
Mhm.
know, I'm sorry, Lisa Rina, you're not owning this season, but
That is okay.
yeah, like Crystal, we have Crystal, Sutton, and Garcelle like on the center of the main, and Caddy Hilton as a of a friend.
She's
Like
a comedic relief,
yeah,
basically.
like being like the stars of the season so far. You
Mhm.
know,
Yeah.
we know Erica Girard is coming with her drama, but
Mhm.
5 episodes in, 4 episodes in,
I didn't write down. I think this might even be 6.
really, it's
I
going
thought
by
last time
fast.
I said it was episode 5, but I could be
Okay.
wrong. I can be absolutely wrong. So, I think it's 6, but don't quote me.
Yeah, but like we see like the new girls, like taking over a little bit the spotlight,
Mhm.
and I really enjoy it. It's refreshing for Beverly Hills to see that.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Um, I guess I kind of wish that the spotlight was given to them. Um, maybe for like different. I don't. It. I just feel like it's so blown out of proportion right now because like of the way like what Sun was upset about, and I don't know. Like it all did stem off of an important conversation with like the do you see color thing. I really think that's like where a lot of this originated from. So I think it was worth having that conversation on a public scale. But the aftermath where it just seems kind of like we're nitpicking and finding things to be upset about. I could do a little bit without, to be honest, but whatever. It's leading us up to our big storyline of the season, which is the last 13 fucking seconds of this episode, even though every single, like, going into commercial break is, like, leading into this part. So fuck you, Bravo. But, so we get the thing 4 days later on election day that Erica texts the group and says, I consider you women close friends. I'm filing for divorce this morning. Thank you for supporting me. This will be tough. And everyone with like the shocked faces, and we get Lisa, Kyle, and Dorit doing like a group FaceTime asking, did you have any idea? And they all said no.
I would be pissed off. Like you call me a close friend, and I have no fucking idea what's happening to your life, and I find out about this like almost because you didn't want us to find through the press.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's a little shitty. Like to the three of them because they have no idea.
Mm-hmm.
Like or they're playing as well, right? But
Mm-hmm.
I would be questioning our friendship at that point. Like, girl.
As I've been in situations where it's like I don't want to burden the people in my life with this issue. Um, However, I'm also not a public figure that this issue
Yeah.
is going to come out in the press about. So that's a little different where like if I keep it to myself, it's staying to myself because I don't have tabloids caring about me. So in like one sense, I can like understand that gut instinct of like just hold this in. Like I don't want to ruin the trip to Tahoe. I don't want it to all be about me if I tell them what's going on. Or there's other like more conspiracy theory reasons for it. Like is she trying to legally
Yeah.
protect herself or whatever it may be? But I thank you, I guess, Bravo, for making me very excited about the next episode. Which I don't even know what night these shows are actually on.
So Tuesdays are for New York and Wednesdays for Beverly Hills.
So tomorrow. Okay, maybe I'll try to watch it live. I can't remember if I'm going to be home or not, but
I'll be working.
for me it's easier to watch them like right before we podcast because otherwise I will forget everything that happens. All right. So any parting words on Beverly Hills before we move into New York?
Just about like because they didn't release like next time on this week, right? They didn't show what's gonna
No, it
happen.
just said to be
To
continued.
be continued, yeah. And they finally released like a preview today, and it looks like gonna be a good one because apparently they have like this event at someone's house, and they all get there before Erica, and everybody's talking about Erica,
Hmm.
about her divorce. And then Erica just like walks in and looks like Erica's just like dancing and like super happy.
Hmm.
So they I think it's gonna be a good one. I feel like everybody's just gonna be like trying to fish stuff from Erica. I think about a little interview there, and I'm excited. I want to know. It's such a big drama. Like I love when scandals happen in the middle of a housewife season. So
Hmm.
I'm very excited to see this unfolding.
Erica also like did this in the middle of a housewives season. Like she was the one that filed for divorce. It wasn't the opposite way around, which all right. Like
It
that's a choice. It is definitely a choice.
was a choice.
All right. So let's move into New York where I'm going to make a public service announcement. I officially I did this last week, but I just want to remind people am anti Luann. I do not support that woman. I have not supported that woman. I've never understood the people who defended her. Here's my thing, and um, for me, like watching this, I have a hard time separating someone who entertains me on TV and someone who I view as a shitty person. Where, like, for example, you mentioned how Lisa Rinna entertains you and like you like having her for what she brings to the show, but like she also kind of sucks.
Yeah.
So like I have a hard time distinguishing between those two. So I've been out on Luann since season one. Like I've been out on Ramona since season one. Ramona not as shitty as Luann, but still not a fan of her. Like I've so for me, like throughout all of this, I just want to be like, I was just saying, like, shut the fuck or shut the fuck up, Luann. Like, just shut the fuck up. I don't know how Ebony handles herself with such class and elegance and grace throughout this whole episode. She deserves all the awards, all the kindness, all of everything because
She does.
I don't like.
Yeah.
I
It's
can't.
it's sad to think that like Ebony cannot even like like go full power on Luann and other girls because she will be perceived as angry,
Mm-hmm.
right? That's the word that people describe like black women with, you know, that don't take shit from people, like
Mm-hmm.
from racist people, or
Mm-hmm.
ignorant people. So it's sad that she has to keep calm and collective during all of this thing, while all these crazy white ladies are screaming around and just, like trying to deflect and to not own their, issues.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of sad that Ebony has to see herself in that position.
Mm-hmm. I 100% agree. So we'll jump into the New York episode. We have Ebony leaving Luann's house and Luann saying, I never brought up race. And Ebony saying, like, I'm not going to stay somewhere I'm not wanted. Um, so that's kind of like the pretense, or I guess, I don't know if pretense is the right word because we saw the whole thing. But essentially, like, Luann kind of standing with, I called you angry, but I didn't mean you're an angry black woman. I just called you angry, being completely ignorant of what she's saying and all the meaning it has behind it. And Ebony being like, I'm getting the fuck out of here. I'm not staying somewhere I don't want, or I'm not wanted, not respected. Sonia, aka the voice of reason, the most like, dude,
I
I'm
have love
proud
for
of her.
Sonia.
I'm proud of her. Like, thank you, Sonia, for being on this season because I can't imagine if she wasn't.
Yeah, she was
It.
a true ally because you
Mhm.
get like, for example, like Heather, that is kind of like wanting to make that about her.
Mhm.
You see like a performing way of being an ally to pretty much put yourself like first and like black people, and then and then And then we have like Sonia, like that is being there for Ebony, like since the moment. She was like, she has not been angry, during the fight happening.
Mm-hmm.
She didn't keep quiet during the fight, and she has like some words of with like, why do you want her to apologize? And she's talking about like, I don't remember the exactly quote that she said in the confessional, but about like, oh, it's not about turning the page.
Read the
We
page.
have to read the page, feel the page, get angry, like learn from it, and then
Mm-hmm.
so it's so nice to see uh Sonia that is always like the dumb blonde, the one that
Mm-hmm.
like doesn't have personality, that the drunk one,
Yeah.
being the voice of the reason in this group of women that are so entitled about like everything, so my love for Sonia just grows.
Heather kind of reminds me of, and I don't know if you've ever been in this situation, but I have. Heather reminds me of when a white person tries to, like a cis white person, male or female, like tries to lead a seminar or a workshop on diversity, where it's like, what the,
Yeah.
can we not get someone who maybe better represents diversity explaining this and having like real life experience with this and not like what they've heard other people say? Like you can hear and absorb and all this stuff, but like Heather seems to be that person who's trying to be the teacher, where it's like through experience, and she doesn't have the experience. She's taking other people's experiences and trying to get the women to understand. And so I do think she's coming from a good place, but Ebony hit the nail on the head of like, she's doing some things that make me feel uncomfortable with the way that she is
Yeah.
trying to involve herself in it. And watching it was kind of issue. I felt like Heather enabled woke, and I don't mean the good woke. I mean like
Yeah.
how woke is used now, where Sonia had that perfect level of like allyship of like, yeah,
And
white people
probably not
have
even.
fucked up. Like we need to listen. We need to respect what she's saying. Like,
Yeah, and Sonia probably doesn't even know what like what woke means, what being
mm-hmm,
alive means. She's just was an ally in the moment that Ebony needed, Not that
mm-hmm,
Ebony needed someone to validate whatever Ebony say was enough, but Sonia was the only one who just like listened to this woman,
mm-hmm,
like you guys are angry. She's not angry, like listen to what Ebony had to say. What Heather, like she kind of wants to be like the face of like of the woke movement. Like we see a little bit after when she calls Ebony articulate. Oh, you're so articulated, And Ebony was like, oh my god, that's a microaggression as
yeah,
of course it is, because you pretty much say like, oh, you were very articulated for a black
a
woman.
black person, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's insane. Like me, like as an immigrant in North America, I have experienced that so many times. Like when I speak English, like when I'm at places and I do things and talk to people, and people are just like, "Oh my God, your English is so good for
mm-hmm,
an immigrant."
mm-hmm,
Oh, do you have I went to university. I'm a journalist in my country. Oh my God, you went to university? Oh my God, like you know what I'm saying? Like you
mm-hmm.
you never worked entry level jobs at your entire life, It's like that video from Kelly Osbourne saying to people on the View, like, if we kick out the Mexicans, who's gonna clean our toilets? Like she's saying that like people, we're gonna like applaud that
Yeah,
quote,
yeah,
that these are microaggressions, So like if you call yourself an ally, if you call yourself a woke person, and there's like for in that case a black person in the room, let them do the talk,
mm-hmm,
like they don't need a translator and they don't need your validation, Heather.
yeah.
So shut the fuck up. It's like she really annoyed me on that episode.
I think um where white people can help white people is not trying to explain diversity as much as it is to explain how to be an ally. And I think that's not what purposely Sonia did, but she did it like she exemplified that through her actions and what she was saying, where I think Heather was trying to explain more diversity and it specifically like experiences of Black people and even more specifically Black women, where she's not either of those things. That's where like the line needs to be drawn. And so I felt uncomfortable with Heather a lot this episode. And I wanted to just like put Sonia up on a pedestal before we got going because I thought that she was amazing. And you can tell that she was doing it like
from the heart,
from the heart. Like Ebony says it in the episode. I don't think she's pandering. I think she means this genuinely. And I was impressed by Sonia. Hopefully people who watch this who need to learn a little bit about allyship are taking notes from Sonia and not from Heather in this situation.
Yes, I like luckily like I saw like a bunch of like Instagram pages, Bravo or not, repercuting like Sonia's word on that episode. Of like the same way that they repercute like Ebony's, absolutely. But like I saw people like really praising Sonia for, like it was a nice and genuine moment. If you want to be an ally, be an ally. Don't either make about you or don't try to silence like the minorities. Just hear them. And that's what Sonia did, and that was really nice. Unfortunately, like people that are ignorant, like may not listen to Ebony, but they maybe listen to Sonia.
Yeah.
So that's the importance of having an ally at this moment.
I also thought that Ebony's confessionals throughout this episode were well placed and well done in terms of things that maybe she would want to say to the group, but also due to just how the group is and whatever was going on in that moment and how it's almost like, did you ever watch pop-up videos on VH1 where like they show the music video and as the music video is happening, they'll like a little like thought bubble will pop up and explain something that happened behind the scenes or whatever. I felt like we could have almost had a pop-up video version of this episode of just Ebony kind of like, hey, about that and about this, but I thought her confessionals kind of took care of that. So we've covered some things throughout this episode that I'm going to jump into when Ebony gets back to the house where Leah already is, and Ebony explains to Leah what happened. And Leah was like, she did not call you an angry Black woman. And Ebony has her confessional of like, society doesn't allow Black women a range of emotions or passion about a topic, and I want my friend Luann to give me more credit. So again, just like these well-placed confessionals, what's going on. Anything you want to bring up about Leah and Ebony's conversation?
Not really. Like, I feel like we touched that a little bit like last week already, but I do feel like Leah is closer to Heather than it's closer to Sonia when it comes to allyship. That's what I think. She's a good friend to Ebony, but I do feel like she tends to make it about her and not about the cause, if that makes sense. But not as strong as Heather. But I feel like if it's a spectrum, I feel like Leah really puts herself in, like some things there. She wants to be the face of that she is not exactly. So I feel like that moment was one of those that I saw a little bit of that,
Yeah, I'm going to reserve my opinion on that because I just don't know if I have like enough information to come to a conclusion on it, because in her confessional, like she had a couple confessionals where it's like, we as white women right now just need to shut up and listen. And I think she does that when it comes to the race stuff, but I also think that it's like overshadowed by just the temper tantrums she's been throwing throughout these last two episodes, that I don't know, like I can't clearly say what I am remembering and mixing up, you know what I mean? So like I don't want to say yes or no.
Yeah.
But I understand your point, and if this continues throughout the season, I will definitely pay attention to it to come back to it, but I just don't know like what she just kind of like swings so quickly these last couple
Yes.
episodes that it's hard to know when she is doing or like what she's mad about in that moment, I guess, or upset about. So I'll definitely pay attention to it though. We get a conversation between Heather and Luann where you hear how they're saying like she should be proud of her education, and Luann makes a comment like just because she's most educated doesn't mean she's the smartest, and Heather's like, well, she should be proud of having a degree at the highest level, like it's a terminal degree, and as someone who's working towards one, like it's a lot of fucking work, and that
Oh
last
yeah.
degree takes like 4 to 5 years, like that's half a decade, it's a whole fucking presidential term anyway. And Luann goes, I am proud of that. And Heather goes, well, you didn't say that. I thought that might have been like the most powerful thing that Heather said this whole episode. Like, just because you were feeling something doesn't, and you didn't like say that to
Yeah.
her. Everything you said did not include that. Like,
It's like
that's
J.K.
not,
It's like J.K. Rowling writing Harry Potter, and then out of nowhere, oh, this character was gay, that character was trans. So where are the words? Like,
yeah.
did you put it there? Where is this? So it's kind of like the same thing. It doesn't matter if you have a good intention, if you have a feeling, you have to put it like you have to make a statement, and people need to know about that to know your true intentions.
Mm-hmm. So then we get another conversation that features Heather, Luann, and a little bit of Ramona, but mostly Heather and Luann. So Heather's saying like when you use the word angry, and Luann's like, well, she was angry, like she was raising her voice, and Heather's like, yeah, but when she brought up white fragility, and Ramona's like, what does that mean? And Heather's like, you should have asked her. And she said like the onus is on us right now. We need to back up and listen. The thing between like Ramona and Leah is not serious in comparison to this, but we need to understand each other what's most important, and you need to go in with an apology. And this next moment, it was a place that just made me be like, fuck you, Luann, like at my TV. Did you see the face she made when Heather was like, you owe her an apology? It was like someone just farted in her face, like that level of disgust.
Yes, it was bad. It
I
was
was
really bad.
so mad. I literally said "fuck you, Luann" to my television.
I it's hard to believe sometimes. Like these women have to be characters. There's no fucking way someone would be so dumb to react that way, like being so entitled and think that they are right. Like it made me crazy.
Yeah, I actually had like a tweet written out being like, if you've ever defended Luann, like just know I was never on your side. But then I'm like, not now, Carrie. I have to be done by 7:00. So um, that conversation continues on in the same way that like all of them have been, where it's Luann kind of, and this is like almost every Luann argument she's ever been in, where like her hurt and her opinion is far superior to anybody else's hurt or opinion in the situation. And like the righteousness comes out, and Heather makes the comment like, it's our responsibility as white women to pause and ask, what did I do to make you feel this way? So they cut to Ebony and Leah, and Ebony makes a comment like, Luann only works on a hierarchy, which I think is such deep insight. What did you think of that comment?
I think it makes sense because like she's the countess, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
that's how she described herself. Like if you think about like season one when like Luann was like being mad at Bethany because she introduced her as Luann and not as the countess, right? She has the mindset of like some people are more powerful than others by their, I don't know, status or whatever. That's what she thinks,
Mm-hmm.
and this clearly got carried for other aspects of her life. I think absolutely there's like racism, maybe subconscious. I don't want to put that she's doing on purpose, but let's say that it's subconscious or whatever. But I think it also comes to a place that like, who's this new girl, like asking me to apologize to her. I have
Mm-hmm.
been doing this show for like 13 years or whatever. Like, you come here, you respect me. you know. And the fact, and I feel like she sees Ebony like as less than her, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and that comment make a lot of sense.
Yeah. I don't need to add anything to that. You did a great job explaining it, and I don't have anything nice to say, so I'm not going to say anything at all at this point. At least about this situation in the moment. Otherwise, why am I on a podcast? So, the next thing we get is the rest of the group coming back to the house, and Heather joins Leah and Ebony. So, um, Heather comes in and says, like, calling a black woman angry right now is starting a problem. Leah's like, she doesn't even realize what she's doing. And not in a like a defending Luann way, but more of just like, how are you so dumb to not
Yeah.
realize what you're doing way? Um, and Heather said, like, we have to remember Luann's ego comes first. Again, like, not defending Luann, but just stating almost like facts of like, this is how it works in Luann's world, and this is what she expects. Not that we have to adhere to this, but this is the person that we're dealing with. And um Ebony, just again with the insight, fucking love her. I can't be in a friend group who doesn't realize that their experience in this country is vastly different than mine. And I think that that's such a perspective to like think about for a second, that like she is surrounded by how many other women who they just can't relate. Straight up, they can't relate. So here's where this is where Heather lost me. I thought she was doing okay at the beginning when she was trying to help the other white women, but in this instance, it felt like Heather was pulling the like, well, I have a black friend card. So like, not saying like, usually it's followed with like, well, I'm not racist, but
Yeah.
more like, well, like clearly I understand this. I worked with and for black people, so saying she has a different lens on it. I've been in the homes of the core of Black America, and it's beautiful. And Ebony is like, tell me more. I want to hear about this. And when she's like, well, I worked for Puffy, I worked for Beyonce, and Ebony's like, that's elite Black America. Like, that's not Black America, Black America. And but then Heather kind of is like, well, yeah, but like the people working for them and the interns. So we get
What a fucking mess. Like,
yeah.
seriously, like, it's embarrassing. Like, I would ask Bravo to, like, burn those tapes if I say something. Like, seriously, like, what are you even talking, girl? Like, you work with Beyonce. Obviously, Beyonce represents, you know, like, black culture, you know? She's an icon. But you didn't work with her when she was not Beyonce, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you don't know,
Yeah.
like, the struggles of, like, the average, like, black person, the people, you know, that like doesn't have like staff working for them, you know, the
Mm-hmm.
people who doesn't have millions on their bank account, the people that are like forgotten in that country, you know, like when it comes to laws, when it comes to a bunch of different stuff, you know. Beyonce, I'm not, nobody can take Beyonce blackness away, but she is not, you know, like she has some privilege when it comes to like
Yeah.
some, like, because of her hard work and her job and everything, you know. So you cannot tell me that you work for Beyonce and you know what, like, how it is, like the black person life. You
Mm-hmm.
probably don't even know like what's a average person of like a white person, average
Right.
white person life. You probably don't even know that. Imagine like an average white person goes through, you know, on the streets being black in America, one of the most racist countries in the
Mm-hmm.
world. You know, so like get the tape, burn it down, never ever repeat those words again. Like that
Mm-hmm.
was stressful.
And Ebony has a confessional where she describes exactly what you just said, where she said Heather doesn't have, or Heather has more of an awareness, but it can be an over familiarity with herself in terms of Black culture in a way where it makes her feel slightly uncomfortable. So I think Ebony sees that Heather is trying to come from a good place, but she's doing too much. It might be the easiest way to explain it. And then like we get Heather being like, I was with my black man friend who was dressed in Gucci and couldn't get a cab, and I like, we get it, but it doesn't mean like Heather. So yeah, Heather lost me at this part. I thought, and then she has the audacity to be like, Luann's here, Ebony, you don't need to educate her. You have to explain what you meant and what she didn't hear, like telling Ebony how she needs to handle a situation that like she's never had to handle before because she's a white woman who has not had to deal with racism or unconscious bias from white women. Like, oh, she got
And
I
that's what I said.
understood Leah's frustration, but
Oh,
I just oh
of course, and like that's what I have to tell you because like on the moment that the situation was happening, Heather didn't say anything like Sonia did. Sonia was
mm-hmm,
like, things were happening, and Sonia was pointing out things like Ebony did not say that. Ebony was not angry. Ebony did not at the moment. Heather didn't. Heather just like stayed there and everything. So like, how do you get yourself so above of everybody? Like how do
mm-hmm,
you put yourself in that position that you have to explain to people that you're like a mediator? Like because somehow you understand more about like racism than other. You know what I'm saying? It's just
mm-hmm,
so stupid, and
mm-hmm.
it's so like I don't know. Like it's just. Uh,
Yes. Is how I feel about
right,
it as well.
right. It's so
Um,
frustrating.
yeah, she's just trying too hard to like she shouldn't be the voice here. She should be a supportive voice for Ebony. She should not be speaking to Ebony in the way that she is, or for Ebony in the way that she is. We need more Sonia out of her. But we get in a confessional. We get Leah. This is like in a little bit of a different setting, but Leah making a realization of like my situation with Ramona like doesn't matter anymore because we have bigger issues to deal with, and she wasn't there when like the whole um, conversation that Heather said like, okay, Ramona and Leah issues not a big deal right now. Like we need to figure out Ebony and Luann. So I did appreciate Leah having. That's why like that's kind of like why I wasn't 100% on board with the like she leans more towards Heather than Sonia, where like she has these moments in confessionals, but I think in the in person in the moment, I'm not trying to pull a Ramona and say like, well, her grandma's dying, so that I don't think that's it. But I just there was too much like there was too much Leah going on yelling that I don't know when she was being good and when she was like being bad. So, but she does at least have these moments of clarity and on and perspective, at least in the confessionals, and those are obviously after the fact.
Mm-hmm.
So next they cut to Ramona and Sonia in the kitchen, and Ramona's like, look at what I got for all of us. And she puts on this fucking apron, like where it's the bikini body. And Ramona's like, I just wanted to have fun, but now we have to talk about this. Like she like Ramona gets by in this episode of not like she doesn't get any of the heat, and this does kind of come up a little bit because like she had little comments that were made that if they were the ones being focused on, I think she gets more of the like, do you realize the microaggressions or the unconscious bias or the basically racist comments you're making? But because Luann's are on such a bigger scale, that like Ramona kind of skates by, like with the whole like, oh, I don't want to talk about this, like I just want to have fun, like trying to sweep the important race
Mm-hmm.
conversation under the table. Like I think Ramona gets away with a bit this episode.
She did. Especially when like she was talking to Ebony and she was trying to deflect like about like, oh, we are all gonna cook. Uh, no, you need to teach us. And Ebony was like,
Oh, I
yeah.
can't. Let's hold off on that. I want to get to that in the moment of the conversation. So not to like cut you off, but I'm cutting you off. So
Just for the audience know, it's been a while since I have watched this episode. I don't even remember the orders properly.
no worries.
So
I just watched it and literally within the last 2.5 hours, and my notes are extensive. So it took me a long time to watch because I had to keep pausing to write things down. Because I was saying to Leo before we started, like I find my notes being so long, but these last few episodes have been so heavy in terms of things that I don't want to misstate or just come across as like I'm saying it incorrectly or insensitively, that like I've really tried my best to be as detailed as possible. So I feel like it's like an extra homework assignment in a way. Like I'm reading my articles and taking my notes. So like I'm watching Real Housewives and taking my notes. But anyway, let's get to it. So Heather says, before we get the big conversation, Heather says to Luann, like, we got to talk and come to an understanding. And Luann has the audacity to say, like, she was up off her seat and in my face. Bitch, no, she wasn't. Like, if you'd watch Potomac, I'll show you in someone's face. Like, Robin had an umbrella to her fucking throat.
Yeah.
She was not in your face. She was like, was there a person between them, or were they next to each other? I can't remember.
I
But
think it was
either way.
Charisse. I think Charisse was between. It was
Oh no,
Moody.
I mean like Luann and
Ebony.
Yeah.
I know. I think Ebony just got up when to say, "I'm going home."
Yeah, she didn't get in her face. Like, you're dramatic as fuck. Shut up. Anyway, clearly love Luann. So Luann does, like, they cut to a confessional, and she's like, if I made someone feel bad, I want to know and fix it. So we're slightly moving in the right direction. But then they cut to her making a comment being like, if there was a misunderstanding, fine, but she has to meet me halfway. And when I heard Luann say that comment, I'm like, oh no, this is not going to go the way it needs to. Meeting, like, she doesn't get it, but we're going to see how she doesn't get it. So I tried to summarize Ebony's initial, I felt like she like gave her best like opening statement as if she like was back in the courtroom. So I'm going to do my best to relay that message. It is quite a few sentences. So here we go. She said, I'm disappointed. I hold you in a high regard. You calling me angry is unacceptable. Whether you are aware or not, calling a Black woman angry has a long history of being a stereotype. Black women are not afforded the opportunity to raise their voice, and I know I raised my voice. It made me feel like you painted me with the broad brush when a Black woman shows up in a way we don't like. I would like to be able to be upset sometimes without being called angry because it sets off a trigger. I have worked my whole life to never show up as the angry Black woman because of the different women I represent across different platforms. Perfect. So Luann's response, thank you, well taken. When she said well taken, I was like, what the fuck is this? But anyway, okay, I'm going to read through it and not leave commentary, and we can go back to it. Try to be unbiased for a second. You're right, Nitro. I shouldn't be unbiased. So, okay. Thank you, well taken. I didn't really understand that angry sets off that kind of reaction. I didn't say it to belittle you or make you feel less than. For that, I'm sorry. I was upset. I saw you were upset. Upset would have been a better word. You were in my home. My daughter was there. My Taurus horns went up. I saw myself getting angry. You have to educate me on that. And Ramona goes, all of us. So there's one of those things. But I apologize. I got so upset with you. I would hope that you would extend the same to me. We'll stop there. Here's my first comment. Actually, let me ask you a question. How into astrology are you?
I like when it comes like to personality. It's nice to know that about you, but I can't stand people who use that excuses.
Exactly.
Like,
I can't stand it's like, I'm just a bitch because I'm a whatever. And it's like,
yeah.
No, you're just a shitty person. Shut the fuck up. It doesn't matter what month you were born in. You can have a personality despite the fact of your astrological sign. Like, blow me. I cannot stand that shit. So when she mentioned like the Taurus horns, like it must have been a conversation that they had earlier, because it came up again of like, oh, a Taurus and was like a Sagittarius or something. I don't fucking know. But like it must have been something that came up earlier. However, I cannot stand when people are like, oh, well, I got angry because I'm a Taurus. Like, no, you got angry because you were ignorant in that situation.
Yeah.
Oh,
it was. You know, have you like watched Charlie Brown, like with the Snoopy and everything? When the adults are talking, just like wah, 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 wah. That was it. When Luann was talking, that was a bunch of like it was so full of shit. Like seriously, she talked about like her kids being there. She talked about being Taurus, like. What the fuck you're talking about? What does this have to do with you, like, not only like hurting Ebony, but you're talking uh, Ebony's race? Like,
Mhm.
what does this has to do with it? You're so full of yourself, like I uh, like I just I don't feel like I don't even have strength, like to even comment about this topic because like I get it when like I really think people like should be able to like make mistakes,
Mhm.
make mistakes.
Mhm.
And I think people can learn from mistakes, but they need to be open to it.
Mhm.
Luwen is not open to it. She doesn't want to be. She feel like she doesn't need to be, and it shows. It's pretty much like everything that she's saying. She wants to get like a confirmation from Ebony that Ebony was wrong too.
Mhm.
Because I hate when people do like when two people are arguing and someone like clearly like fuck it up more than the other one. They always try to do like, oh, we were both wrong.
Yeah.
We both said things that hurt each other. I'm sorry if I hurt you, like stuff like that. And that's a safe way to take that approach, And especially when you're television, like when you were, like talking to so many people out there, like you have to be responsible for what you said. So when she just started talking about her kids being there, and I was just like, I don't even want to hear that because I know there's shit coming there, and it's gonna be shit coming from confessionals, and there's gonna be more shit coming in other episodes. So
Mhm.
not here for it.
Yeah. So this gets us into like the next part of this conversation where uh Luann, or so Ebony goes, "You want me to apologize for making you upset?" And Luann goes, "I think you should apologize for making me upset as well." And we cut to an Ebony confessional where she's like, "We went 5 steps forward to go 10 steps backwards. This is exactly the problem, Luann. Like, I get to be upset about this." And I wish, again, it was something that she like said in the moment, but at the same time, like, understand why she didn't, because like you have time to reflect on it and everything. And um, I do think she gets the point across. I don't, and maybe Luann will see it more when she watches the show. Who knows? But um, so Sonia chimes in here and she's like, "Luann, can you tell us how you were upset?" Because she wants Luann to realize like you don't get to be upset. Like, tell us why you were, and then we'll tell you why. Like, Ebony actually has a legit reason that she doesn't need to apologize to you because of what you did. Um, so Luann said, "It upset me that you were yelling and you wouldn't listen. You got upset with me. I really didn't understand." And Sonia goes, "That's frustrating, but who should be apologizing here?" So we get Heather chiming in, and I'm not even going to read it. So Luann said, "I'm sorry that I triggered you by saying angry." So it's not like that's the worst type. That's just such a Ramona apology. You know how Ramona's like, "I'm sorry if I hurt your feelings," or like, "I'm sorry that," no, it's like, I'm sorry you got mad at that." It's like, it's not like there's no ownership for voice. It's like, "I'm sorry you got triggered." Like, shut the fuck up, Luann. So Ebony says, like, "I won't say I'm sorry because there's an expectation of me apologizing to a triggering, deep-seated word and concept. I can't apologize to you for that. I want to point out that Miss Leah cussed you all out and called you all hoes, and no one called her angry. In fact, she was told, 'Leah, calm down, come back to the table,' because she wasn't held to that standard of anger." Leah was exponentially more angry than Ebony was at any point. And
Absolutely.
so,
And like, what makes me crazy, Carrie, is just like this show has 13 seasons. These women have been on each other's face like in ways that like I could not believe
right.
sometimes. They're just so intense and so, I'm gonna say, angry, like real angry, and like throwing drinks at each other and telling each other to fuck yourself, and like
Mhm.
in such a bad manners way. And Ebony was not even 10% of that. And they have the audacity to call Ebony the angry one, while they never called the other ladies angry before. Like that's what blows my mind. Like how we're making a big deal out of something that is like recurring on the show. It's the roots of the show. That's the base of the show. You know, it really has no other explanation if not racism.
Mm-hmm. No, you're 100% correct. We're gonna keep because I've nothing to add to that. You're absolutely correct. So here is where we get a little bit of Ramona. Ramona says, well, she gets a pass because her grandmother is dying. And Ebony's like, well, so is mine. And Ebony says, I'll take you at your word, but it's not my burden to educate either of you. And Ramona goes, I'm not asking you to, which in parentheses I go, yes, you did, LOL.
Yeah.
And Ebony goes, you did. You said it sweetly. You said you have to teach us. And Ramona said, well, I'm going to teach you how to cook. And I love that Ebony was just like, no, you're not going to deflect here.
Yes.
So we get a Sonia confessional that you had mentioned back earlier when we started talking about the episode of the burdens on us. We're white privileged ladies. Nobody's turning the page and moving forward. We have to read the page ourselves and flip the page ourselves. So like, I loved it. And then we get another part where Luann's like, well, maybe we can have a little bit more. And then Ramona goes sympathy and Luann goes patience. And Ebony goes, I think I have been really patient. Ebony completely skipped over Ramona saying sympathy. And I do wish that she had mentioned that and been like, sympathy. I need to give you sympathy. But Ebony went on. Do your thing, Ebony.
It's sad because I feel like Ebony probably have been through the situation so much, and I think she just knows better. And like, I know what battles are worth to fight or not. And at this point, just like whatever you do, you know, like I don't have to educate you and anything. So,
Yeah, and that is actually, I think. Well, yeah, they just talked about it, and I was gonna say this was coming up next, but we literally just said it. That's my bad. So, again, we get another confessional of like Leah saying white women need to shut up and listen right now. And so then she like pinpoints Heather. She's like, so shut the fuck up and listen, Heather. Because right before that, Heather had said like, we have to take the responsibility to change our actions. So again, like Heather being a little preachy, which obviously is going to make Leah way more angry than it should, but again is based off of their situation. I thought it was interesting that Luann was like, I hope today was the best day. And Ebony goes, it was the most honest day, so it was the best day. Like Ebony is an angel to deal with this and to be able to come out and be like, this was the best day because we had so much honesty. Wow.
Yeah, like we need more people like Ebony, you know, like seriously, it's refreshing.
Yeah. And so next we get Sonia and Ebony, where we really start seeing like this friendship forming even more so. Loving this, where Sonia kind of like defends Luann. She's like, she's a good woman. And Ebony's like, yeah, everyone makes mistakes. But Sonia's like, oh, I'm a loser. And Ebony's like, no, you're not. You're a queen. You need to know that. And Sonia's like, yeah, Leah said I need higher self-esteem. And we get to Ebony in a confessional saying like Sonia has let her friends classify her as less than a valuable woman. I think she's dope, powerful, badass. I don't think she sees that in herself, and she's internalized everything that her friends have said, which like I have a therapist, but like if mine ever leaves me, can I get Ebony as mine?
That was such an accurate read, right? On like Sonia. And like she just met her. Like it was very good observation. I have felt about Sonia for a while now, you know, but I couldn't describe with exactly, you know, words how I felt about Sonia in that group of women. And Ebony just like got that like such in a beautiful way. And I'm here for Sonia and Ebony's friendship. I really hope, you know, it doesn't go off. I really want them to be, you know, a power duo.
One reason I'm wary is like I feel like every time we get one of these like early season friendships that it's just they show us it because it blows up later in the season. So I'm afraid. I am afraid of that happening. However, I'm going to hope for the best because I'm really enjoying it right now. So fingers crossed that it doesn't explode, but it's Real Housewives, obviously.
Oh,
Like,
they're
we
gonna
trust
fight at some.
nothing.
They're gonna fight at some point. It's just
Mhm,
part of the show's narrative, but I
mhm.
hopefully it's nothing like as fucked up as what Luann did.
Right. So then we get Sonia being like, I don't believe in these apologies either. Ebony saying the best apology is change behavior. And Sonia saying, like, the weight is on us now. White people have repressed Black people for too long. It's our turn to take on the burden. And Ebony, we get the confessional I had mentioned earlier where she said, like, I don't think Sonia's pandering. I think Sonia gets it. Which we obviously both agree with that we think Sonia gets it. And we're both just like proud little,
Yeah,
like,
Soñarita.
yes. I'm proud of Sonia right now. My opinion like wavers on her every single season, and right now we're at a high, so I hope we keep it there. Um, oh, okay. I just like read the next part coming up, and that was that reaction. Sorry. So then Ebony and Leah are in the room together, and Heather comes in, and is like, great job out there. Like, you're very articulate. I don't know if anyone's ever told you that. And this is why I think, again, that I'm not 100% on the Leah's more like Heather board, because Leah's face was like, does she not know what she just did after all that? Like, her facial expression said a lot to me in that instance of like, you gotta be kidding me. And Ebony, like, yeah, I've heard it a couple times. And then as soon as she walks out, she's like, that's a microaggression. She's like, I'm going to let it pass. I'm going to give her a pass. I think she meant it well. However, like,
Yeah,
after all that, that's, oh my God. When Heather said that, I was just like,
like
this is,
she had one job, and it was to like give back the purse. Is that what it was? Was that what she was doing there, or like a jacket, whatever? I don't know. She was going there to do something, like to give
yeah.
back something. That was the only job Heather had to do. You know, she didn't have to say anything else. She just could like, here is your shit, like take it.
Mm-hmm.
No reason to call Ebony articulated. Like, is the
You
word
could
is the
have
word articulated or articulate?
articulate.
Articulate. Okay.
Because articulated would have been like the past tense of you explaining something. So like, I articulated the point that
No.
Luann sucks. Where articulate is an adjective, like you are articulate.
Okay. Okay.
I wanted,
We're
I
learning
love
something
grammar.
today.
I know I'm a math teacher, but if like if high school English got to focus on grammar, I would have been a high school English teacher. But I can't like, I'm not good at like reading for deeper meanings. I need everything to be quite literal. So I was like, nah. And I knew I wanted to teach high school. So I'm like, all right, math it is, I guess. But I love grammar. So okay. Ramona, they cut to Ramona, like different scene. I have to think of how I would feel if I was the only white chick in a group of Black chicks.
Can we just like
I'm laughing because I don't have any other reaction. Like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding? First of all, using chicks in this like just ruins the sentiment in itself. But it's still not it. Like, it's not it. It's 100% not it, Ramona. You don't get it. Am I glad that you are going to try and open your mind and think more about these situations than you were previous to right now? Yes. Are you doing it the right way based off of this statement? Absolutely not.
no? I don't think Ramona will ever change in any aspect of her life. Like literally any aspects. Like she's Ramona. Like she was made. I don't know. Like it was a scientific project from the government, and they just like made her by by order, and she will never change. That's it. Like it's fucking wild.
Yeah, it's funny because the next part of this is like Sonia saying Ramona's so happy that she isn't the one that messed up, and Luann going like, let her enjoy it while it lasts. But it's like Ramona just messed up on a smaller scale than Luann did, like we said earlier. So We then get them going fishing, which is an interesting thing because like Ramona set it up. But she mostly set it up for Sonia, but Ramona gets there and is like, fuck off, I'm not doing this, which is crazy. But basically, wasn't it really only Ebony and Sonia that went fishing? Everyone
Pretty
else kind of
much.
just like stood off the side.
Yeah, I think so. Because I remember Ebony only from that. To be honest, I don't even remember Sonia, but I remember Ebony fishing.
Sonia did because like the fisherman was like straight up teaching her how to do it and stuff. So
Mm.
but she didn't like go in the water where like Ebony was about to be taken out by the undertow.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm like, what in the Little Mermaid is this? Ebony, like you were just like about to dive in and like I don't know what that was
what?
so.
What in the Little Mermaid is this?
No,
Oh
serious.
my god! No, that was a perfect way of fucking describing that. I'm like near tears. I wasn't ready for that statement. It was so good. It was so good. Okay. So yeah, that covers that part. Then we get a little bit more Luann and Ebony just being like, I'm glad we talked about this. I think so highly of you. I still felt bad this morning. And Luann saying like, I'm going to try to be better. And Ebony in her confessional saying like, there's stuff I like about these women, but I have to get past the uncomfortable things. And I again feel bad for her because, or that like she even has to like have this sentiment of like, I'm going to try and overlook the regular microaggressions and the ignorance to enjoy what I do enjoy about them because of how many other people have to experience that same feeling of like, especially I'm thinking of like the town that I grew up in. I had mentioned, I think on this podcast that like in a class of 520, we had 3 Black kids in my grade that like, how many times did they have to feel like this? And
Yeah.
other people in similar situations of just like, I'm going to do my best to put aside my discomfort so I can like fit in and enjoy what's happening. And I feel bad that she feels that way, but at the same time, like I completely respect that she's able to do it. 'Cause I don't know if I would be able to. We get more Ebony and Sonia, and Ebony saying like, you're extremely high value. I'm going to bring you to Philly and I'm going to set you up, or we're going to go to a matchmaker. We're going to get you set up. Do you know who that matchmaker is? I read somewhere.
I didn't. Who is it?
It is Devin Simone, who used to be on the challenge and has hosted some challenge after shows.
Oh, Devin?
Do you know? So, Black woman, she dated Big Easy in a season. Like,
I never watched the challenge.
Okay. So I like that there's a little crossover with like my favorite reality TV show, which is The Challenge. So that's what I read, that it's Devin. So just a little tidbit there. And we get a confessional of Sonia just appreciating how Ebony's making her feel, and we're seeing like an appreciation on both sides for this friendship because we appreciate it too over here. We support you guys. But we then get into like the last argument of this episode, like argument 24, where we get a conversation about like the talents they're going to do. And then at this party, this pageant that they're doing, I kind of missed that until the end. Like,
so weird. Like,
yeah, they're basically like their theme for that night is like a 70s beauty pageant, and they each have to have a talent for it. So they're talking about different ones they're going to do. And then Ebony being like, I want you all to come to my election party. And Leah goes, let's bet on who won. Heather goes, did everyone early vote? And then Leah's like, I'm just so disgusted by how both sides are acting. I don't think I'm going to vote. Please don't come at me with some self-righteous shit. And Heather was like, I was just going to ask you if you're going to vote. And Leah's like, if I do, it's for Biden because I want shit to go back to normal not because I like him. And Heather's like, so vote. And then Leah's like, this is another way for Heather to be morally superior. Obviously, I'm going to vote. That was in a confessional. But like, I think it's fucked up for her to like think that she can get mad about that when she literally had just said like, I don't know if I'm going to vote.
Yes, like I that was a moment that like kind of tells me, the Heather is like more close to Heather in a sense that like, oh, I'm this woke person.
Yeah.
I am super, like I don't know, I know about everything and like I'm very sensitive about subjects, but you would know how important it was to vote. And there was people, the most marginalized people that they needed more than ever this flip to happen. They just need to get Trump out of office. They need to put the Democrats in power again. So that was such a privileged statement to say. I understand that some people don't want to vote, whatever there was, but like if you tell yourself that you're such a like cause person, that you're such a socially aware person, and you sell
Mm-hmm.
yourself with that brand, not voting is not an option.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and oh, both sides. Are you actually like? Are you fucking kidding me? Are both sides the same thing? Like they're not.
Mm-hmm.
There's one side that is clearly more dangerous than other. That are doing way more nasty things than So that was a very that comment came from a very privileged place,
Yeah.
and I didn't appreciate that at all.
I think that if she had said everything about like the I don't like how both sides are acting, whatever, that's fine. But it was up until like I'm not gonna vote. That's where like I I completely respect someone stepping up and being like,
Yeah,
yes, you need to vote. Like you absolutely need to vote. So um I think she can like have those opinions that both sides are like have become very radicalized in their own ways. Sure, if that's what you want to believe, fine. But then when you say like, well, because of that, I'm not going like, no, we need to. You can't say you like need change and don't like how things are and all this, but then not do anything about it. And
yeah.
so, um,
You just want to remove yourself from the equation in case of like Biden gets in power and there's a shit show, and you'll be like, "Well, it's not my fault. I didn't vote for him." So
yeah,
don't.
and like heard them being like, of course I'm going to vote. Well, you didn't. You actually said you weren't going to, so you don't get to. But after that, we get different tidbits of people practicing their talents, and then Leah's mom calls, and we kind of hear some parts of the conversation. But essentially, what we can gather from this is like, um, Grandma can't talk anymore. Grandma doesn't have much time left. And so Leah's going to go straight to New Jersey the next morning. So Leah tells Ebony this, and like admits I'm not in the best place right now. So we get more people practicing, and um, then we get Heather and Sonia talking, and Heather going to Sonia like, your friend Leo is so rude to me, like, and mentioned the whole self-righteous thing. And then we get Ebony and Leah talking, and Ebony telling Leah like, hey, Heather came in here and said what she said. And Leah was like, I don't like how she has to be the authority on everything.
So
And
can I make a
mm-hmm.
question right
Yes,
now?
yes.
So do you think that Leah would have the same reaction about like the not voting? Like, please don't like tell me with this like you have to vote shit. If it was a different woman, do you think it was like inflamed because it was Heather?
Once you don't like someone, you're just anything they do pisses you off. If
Yeah,
if it had been if this whole thing could have not happened, and I'm not saying it was like Ebony's responsibility to do this, but you don't obviously she's not going to respect Ramona's opinion on voting when Ramona clearly is Team Trump, and like
yeah.
we obviously know Luann's in that. Like I think if Ebony had been like when as soon as Leah said in the first place, I'm not gonna vote. Like if Ebony goes, but like you can't be on my side but not vote here. Like look at all the things that are happening to Black people, other minority groups because of the administration that's here. I think if Ebony had said that right away and Heather had said nothing, then that's the end of they probably don't even show the conversation.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they have to fill this part with something different. But because it's Heather, it escalates. I
Yeah.
100% think that. So then Leah goes out and starts yelling at Heather, calling her Karen, saying that like, it's not your business if I'm going to vote. It's white feminism 101, what you're doing right now. You don't have to talk about what I say. It's none of your business. Don't be a Karen. And Like, yeah, my political decisions are none of your business. I'm kind of exhausted of the Leah Heather thing at this point. Is there anything you want to add to this argument?
No, like I was. I want to get to the point of why Heather stopped filming. I just that's the only thing that I'm curious of.
Yeah.
But this little thing, like Leah calling Heather a Karen, Heather not knowing what Karen was, like I was just like, what's happening here? Like
Mm-hmm.
these two very similar but so different women are not getting along. We get it, you know?
Mm-hmm. So then we get to the how did we get here? So Ebony and Heather kind of like recapping how this got to this point, and Leah comes in and is like, you don't want me to vote, you want me to vote for who you want me to vote for, which is very redundant, but like I get her point. Like Heather, she's saying that Heather only wants Leah to vote for whoever Heather wants to vote for. And Leah's like, my grandma's dying right now, it's all I care about. You told Ebony it was irresponsible, I don't vote. And Heather was like, did I say that? And Ebony was like, yeah, you kind of did. And Leah said, yeah, my business. So we're there. But then we get to the van, and Leah saying, don't leave me alone in the van with her. And Heather goes, relax, bitch. And is like, you want to call me a bitch? And throws the flowers at her. Like, I'm not going. I don't want to talk to her. I don't want to see her. She's a psycho. And that's where it ends, thankfully, because I couldn't have taken another 10 minutes of that.
That was.
I need a week's break in between, except it's on like tomorrow. So
It's tonight. Tonight there's some
fuck.
brownie.
It's on soon.
It probably just
It's
finished.
done. It's done. It's already
Yeah.
happened. I need a time machine.
Yeah, like probably that moment with on the limo was like the most Roni moment that we have got this season. With like there was a fight going on, but there's also some comedy happening at the same time because we got Luann saying stuff like, "Let's go! They're gonna kill each other in the car," you know, like. That was a little funny for me, even though it came from Luann.
Yeah.
But like, you know, like let's go. They're killing each other in the car. You know, like it felt like very Roni in my opinion. But from the preview, like it shows like that Heather and Leah, they're all there in the thing. So this will probably like just they're gonna be fine. You know, nothing major is gonna happen. So yeah.
That's it. We got to the end of the episode.
Yeah, I didn't think I would say that, but I feel like I am enjoying more Beverly Hills than New York at this point.
I need both of them. Like I need both of them to take a different turn. Obviously, we know it's going to with Erica in Beverly Hills, but the fact that like we're getting these shows with very similar storylines of like the ongoing race conversations, and it's spanning like 2-3, and we're getting this like the reason that I'm like frustrated is because like I'm frustrated with like the Luann side of it and the Sutton side of it, like the not seeing it is like I need a little bit of levity. I'll take more of these conversations because I think they're incredibly important and I love talking about them. But for the sake of like we need to be entertained as well, I would love to see a little bit of like the Kathy Hilton pranks or the oh my god they're killing like that, like a little bit more of that, because right now like the hula hooping and the baton twirling really isn't, and like the Ramona wearing the apron isn't doing that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm hoping that we see a bit more of that, but I also completely understand and appreciate that we're getting these conversations on a grand scale, on a national level of how race affects everyday life and how white people are so like blind to it most of the time. So I don't want to say I'm tired of those issues. I'll gladly keep watching them, but I would love to see a little bit more of like hee hee ha ha it mixed in a bit, you know?
Absolutely. I co-sign that.
Well, we have reached the end of last week's. We are already an hour behind on this week's, but it's fine. We are going to be changing up when we see you. It will change week by week. I'm not going to place blame on anyone, but it's not my fault. I'm just kidding. So, no, we're gonna. I said this in our group chat. We're gonna be like the drunk aunts of silent podcasts, where we're gonna show up. You don't know when, but when we do, it's gonna be a good time.
That makes sense. Absolutely makes sense. And I will take blame of that because my schedule's all over the place right now. But hopefully, if this week's schedule is the same as the other, probably will be moving, for doing it Tuesdays, every Tuesday. That would be nice. But let's
we'll
not
keep
make
you
it
updated. Yeah, we're not going to make any promises we can't keep. That's for sure. But we will definitely be recapping everything going forward. So thank you for joining us. And then let's close this out. So social media handles, let me find you. There we go. So where can the people find you?
That's my ad on Twitter, Instagram. That's Caladoleo. That's my last name, and it means shut up, which is very cool because we're in silent podcast. But follow me at Caladoleo, Twitter and Instagram. And is this my final goodbye? Like, am I saying goodbye already? Because I just want to say thank you to Dana. That sent us some questions today, and Dana, we are welcome to join us anytime you want. I know you're great with the camera, so come hang out one day. Let's talk about Housewives. Let's put Erica Jane in jail.
Samaritan arrest. I definitely agree with that. Thank you for your questions, comments. We love getting those during the show because it shows that people are listening to us. So you can find me on Twitter and at Instagram at KGD26. I am tweeting about whatever is happening in my life. Right now it's like a concussion and dumb other things, but hopefully soon it'll be things that are a little bit more fun. So that is it for us. You can find us when I click the brand thing.
Yay!
Silent Podcasts on YouTube and Twitch, and at silent_podcasts on Twitter. We turn on your notifications so you can see when we're live. If there are things that you want people to cover and we aren't yet, let us know. That we have a group of people who are willing to talk. We just need things to talk about. And sometimes we don't realize, like, oh shit, I can do something like this until like all of a sudden someone says that we can. Gosh. So we've got some stuff in the works for you that's new and exciting. We've got some Survivor South Africa coverage with Sasha and Jason, and I've podcast with them. That's going to be funny. That's going to be insightful. It's worth your time if you're watching the show. So go check them out. But that is it for us. So we will catch you the next time that we are here. Until then.
My belly is showing through this entire podcast. I'm sorry about this, guys, but I am overweight and the shirt is tiny. And yeah, that happened to the entire thing. I saw that. I know you saw that too.
I didn't notice till you just said it, to be honest.
I have been trying to hide this for the entire thing. Like, I move and then I see like a little thing here and then another thing here. So, that happened.
It's fine. We all have bellies. It's whatever. Like, I'm not judging. Live your best life. All right. Well, we are here again for you on behalf of Silent Podcast, where we're anything but silent, and we will catch you next time.